This video is going to be about hip arthroscopic repair to repair an issue that I had, and my issue was a cyst which was 1.5 to 2 centimeters big, and it was in the acetabulum. In the acetabulum's the socket, so it was in there, and that caused the impingement, they call it, and that in turn caused a labral tear, a tear of the labrum. So this is just, I just want to talk about my experience, because actually before the surgery I looked for some videos, and there's a few videos on this, but not enough, I thought. So I just wanted to share my experience, because actually my experience has been quite different to the video I saw, which was of some chick in America. She had the same kind of thing, but she looked like she was a bit more sedentary, like she wasn't allowed to move around so much, and she had her leg in one of those mechanical things that move your leg, like to move it. Apparently it's good for your leg. Anyway, so I've got a list here, so I'm looking at the list, and it'll probably take 10 or 15 minutes to go through it all. I had the surgery about the 28th of last month, and it's now the 25th, so it's been almost a month. Anyway, I'll get into it. So what I had wrong and what caused it, I might actually just read that I've got the actual clinical kind of notes here. So, grade 1 to 2 cartilage lesion was found on the anterior lateral part of the acetabulum. Other areas of the cartilage on both the femoral head and acetabulum were intact. Torn over mild degenerated labrum was found at 3.5 to 1.5 o'clock, which I don't understand. The lesion was debrided and repaired with 3 double-loaded soft tissue anchors. Osteochondroplasty of the cam lesion was performed. The skin was closed with 4/0 nylon. So I guess in normal people's terms, I had what happened, I went for a run. It was a 10-kilometer run. I was fine, and then I went for this run, and I'm not sure if it was the actual running or I think there was a part of that run, because it was a trail, and where I had to jump off about 1 meter down onto some rocks, and I kind of remember a bit of a shock in my hip, and I feel like that might have been the cause of it. But anyway, somehow a cyst can grow in your hip joint. That's what happened to me. How it was diagnosed, it was diagnosed with the MRI. I put up with it for like 6 months actually, kind of hoping it would get better. Didn't get better. I guess what the issue with it is that I'm quite an active person. I like to do things, and like anytime I would try to run, I couldn't run. I have these big stairs when I finish work. I like to run up these stairs, and they're like quite deep stairs, like 1/2 meter deep. Run up those, and I couldn't do it. It was hurting me. Any kind of movement that needed power, I couldn't do, particularly stairs for me. I think it's different for different people, because the cyst or the tear can be in different areas of that joint. How it was diagnosed with the MRI, I went to hospital. They didn't do an x-ray, they just sent me to the MRI. At the hospital, I should mention, I was not that, like I was fine. I could work, I could walk around. Day-to-day life was not that bad. It's just that I like to exercise as well, and it looked in my mind that I was never going to be able to exercise again, or do boxing or kickboxing or something like that I like to do. So it was an MRI that diagnosed it. Well, it was kind of a preliminary diagnosis. They did that and they saw something on the MRI, which was the little bump of a cyst, but he wasn't sure. So then they can't actually do this surgery there, so they sent me to another hospital in Bangkok to do the surgery, where the doctor up there is a bit more experienced with this kind of thing. And I went up there for one day. I flew up there basically for a day of just x-rays and MRIs, and that's what they did. They one of the things they did, like there was a number of x-rays and then a normal MRI, and then after that it was I'm laying on an x-ray table and they have the needle and they inject you with contrast and also some pain relief, and the pain relief diagnoses the actual thing, because if the pain relief helps, then that tells them that that is the issue. So yeah, that was probably, I'm not going to say it was really bad, I don't want to scare people, but that was probably the worst of the whole experience for me, because that's not you don't go to sleep. That's just a local anaesthetic, and they put a big needle right into your hip joint, and he's looking at the x-ray and stuff to make sure it's super precision. Anyway, that's how it was diagnosed. It was a big day of that. Then after that I had another MRI, and I also had a CAT scan, which was must have been the shortest CAT scan in history. It was about 30 seconds, but apparently it needed to be done. Disclaimer. Oh yeah, so I want to say this is not medical advice. I'm just a guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I know maybe more so than other people, and much more than I knew before. But this is my experience, and I want people to take it like, oh, I saw this video on YouTube, so maybe I can do this, but maybe you shouldn't be, So don't listen to what I'm saying. Listen to your doctor. Because, for instance, the video that I saw of that girl, she looked like her experience was completely different to mine. So, yeah, that's the disclaimer. Surgery preparation. There was not much really. What can you do to prepare for surgery? Not much. It was just don't eat from 8 a.m, I guess, because you're going to go to sleep and be given all the anaesthetics and stuff. So the surgery was at 4 p.m, mind you, so don't eat from 8 a.m. It's quite a long day with no food. The surgery, where, how much, who did it? So I live in a different part of Thailand. The surgery was in Bangkok, so I was able to fly to Bangkok, do the surgery on the same day, and then I stayed in hospital for one night, and then I stayed in a hotel for one more night, and then I flew back the next day for an hour and a half, and I needed a fit to fly certificate and stuff and wheelchair assistance. How much was it? It was about 500,000 baht, which works out to about 20 or 22,000 Aussie dollars. That will definitely vary depending where you are and what the deal is. Who did it? He's a well-known doctor in Thailand amongst doctors. His name's Dr. Winyu Ratanachai at Samitivej Bangkok Hospital. Samitivej Srinacaring, because there's two Samitivej hospitals. And he was previously the medical director at another, probably the number one hospital in Thailand, Bumrungrad Hospital. And yeah, the doctor in Phuket referred to him as a teacher, and then I see that he does lectures and stuff as well. He's the dude when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's been doing it for 30 years. So that's who did it. Things to know about the surgery: keyhole surgery. So yeah, I was referring to it as keyhole surgery before when I didn't know much, but they call it hip arthroscopy or arthroscopic hip surgery. I'll just show you they call them portals where they did the surgery. 1, 2, there's another one there, 3, 4, and I think that's it. Oh, there's one there, 5. So keyhole surgery, things to know about surgery. So this is a big one, traction. I didn't even know about this before. I should have looked into it more. So traction is hip arthroscopic surgery. Is what they do is they have to pull your leg out of the joint just a little bit to get the tools in there. They don't pull it right out, and they don't dislocate it or anything, but they put 20 to 40 kilos weight on your leg to pull it out and get some tools in there so that they can do their thing. And to get the leverage to be able to pull your leg out, they need to use what's called a traction post, and that sits where your groin is, like pretty much right on your balls. And you know, that's for the surgeries can last like, I don't know, I think I read 40 minutes somewhere, maybe for a quick one, but it's more like an hour and a half, and should not be really much more than 2 hours for sure, and should not really be much more than an hour and a half. Mine was at an hour and 20 minutes, I think, because traction is not really good for you. To have that much pressure on your groin area for an hour and a half straight, sometimes they'll release the pressure to give you a break, like you're asleep, but to give the area a break. So yeah, that creates issues, like you're not able to feel your groin after the surgery. Like I read 40% of people have this symptom, and that's relative to how long you have the traction on for. So because the traction actually pushes on a nerve in your groin called the pudendal nerve, which runs on the inside of your groin, and that's responsible for the feeling in your private parts, basically. So yeah, I wasn't able to feel my private parts at all. Like I woke up after the surgery and I was complaining that I couldn't feel my toes a little bit to the nurse in the recovery room. Little did I know that was the least of my problems. It was later that night that I realised I couldn't feel my other business. Medications issued. So for the nerve damage, it's temporary nerve damage. They give you B vitamin complex because B vitamins nourish nerves. I saw a story recently, this gone off the track a little bit, of some girl who was sucking on soda bulbs to get high, you know, like laughing gas. And little did she know that destroys your nerves. So she can't walk now. And the medication that they give her is B vitamins. And this is kind of the same. This is from the traction that I was just talking about, to repair the nerve, or to nourish the nerve and help it recover faster, hopefully. So that was one medication. Then I also had another anti-inflammatory medication, which can't remember the name. You can ask me in the comments and I can let you know. And I had Tylenol as well for the pain, or paracetamol, a strong one. But there was no like Oxycontin or any heavy pain medicine like that, and I don't think it was really needed. So moving on to that, what happened in the days following the surgery regarding pain, it's not that much of a painful thing really, this surgery, compared to other things you might have done. It's painful a bit. I had about 3 or 4 days of, I don't know, 7 out of 10 pain, you know, and it was very manageable, and I was taking those painkillers as well, which helped. And then after that I just stopped taking them because I felt that I didn't really need them, and also I really wanted to feel the pain because the nature of this, the recovery of this is that you don't want to be twisting it and causing a pinching pain. And if you can't feel the pain, how do you know if you're, twisting it too far or something? So I really wanted to feel the pain, because pain is a warning from your body, a signal from your body that you should listen to. So sometimes it's good to have a bit of it. Medications, what happened? Oh, and I suppose this comes under medications as well. So I had these given to me, crutches. For 1 month, I was directed to walk on crutches for 1 month. And it's now been, I'm actually 4 days shy of the 1 month. I've actually started walking, just yesterday I started walking very gently, and it's a little bit early, but I had to move house yesterday. So it was very hard to do, because actually I was using 2 crutches for the majority of the time, and then the last week or so I just started to use 1 crutch, kind of like a walking stick, because I was getting pretty good with the crutches and I knew that I wasn't putting weight on it and it was working, so I was able to do that. Directions from the doctor, so this was a little bit of a disappointment for me. The guy, I said he's a really good surgeon, and I'm sure he is, but as far as directions and after what happens after the surgery, it was kind of just like, walk on crutches and see you later. I asked him, do I need to do physiotherapy or something? And he's like, we didn't really cut the muscles, so you don't really need to do that. And then when I got home, I was Googling a lot because it sounded a bit weird. And everything that I saw on the internet said that, physiotherapy is important, and it's almost as important as the surgery itself. So I started to do some exercises. There were a couple of things I saw that were just standard, seemed to be similar things from different sources. So I kind of was doing those exercises. Arriving home and difficulties. So I live alone. I have a friend who was kind of helping me, but she wasn't here all the time. When I arrived home from Bangkok, because I flew back, walked into my room, and I'm like, I need dinner. How am I going to get dinner? Because it's like, one thing I will say about these things that I wasn't really prepared for, I didn't think about, was that you can't carry things when you're walking with these. That's half the issue with crutches, because it's like, I was sitting there, and if I get dinner, it's like, how do I get a plate from the kitchen over to here, And it was pretty depressing, really, for the first couple of days. If you don't have someone to help you, just for the first couple of days until you kind of get your head around it a bit, I recommend having someone kind of waiting for you and helping you those first few days, because I'm an independent guy. I'm strong. I like to do things myself, but that was pushing it for me as well. It was really depressing for a while for the first day. Continued numbness, and rehab and prognosis, and that's the last points. So the numbness I kind of touched on before from the traction. This is the biggest thing with this surgery for me. It was like, I would have liked to have known about this before, that you're not going to be able to feel your penis for 1 month or 2 months or maybe 6 months, who knows. There's a couple of things on the internet. The majority of things, if you look on Reddit, people say, don't worry, it comes back. Mine took about a month, mine took about 3 weeks, mine took 2 months. And then there's another guy, mine took 6 months. And then there's a couple of little things, like I think on NHS website, it says it could be permanent. So it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, so 1 month, you can't feel it. And then for the first 2 weeks, I could feel it coming back. I felt a noticeable difference every day, and it was coming back, up to like 60-70% feeling again. And then it kind of stopped. And now it's It's been a month. I would say I'm probably back to 80% feeling now, and I will say that it still works. It's just weird that you can't feel it sometimes, like waking up in the morning and thinking, oh, what's that thing that I'm laying on, and trying to move something from under you, but oh, that's my penis. Because you can't feel it. It's just bizarre. It feels like it's not a part of your body. And apparently females get the same thing with their parts as well. This happens to them as well. Anyway, prognosis. Prognosis, I've seen a lot of different, this is a non-linear recovery, this thing. So everybody has their own, it's very different for different people. For me, it seems to be going quite well. I didn't have any heavy rehab thing, but I saw, like the other video, I saw the girl's on the couch, and it looks like she's not really moving around much at all. And I don't know if I wouldn't like to just like sit on the couch for a month. I feel like you've got to get up and do stuff a bit. Well, I did. That's how I felt. Could be different for other people. They gave me crutches to walk on crutches, so obviously I can walk with them. Prognosis, I think I'm doing pretty well. Physiotherapy, I didn't really do much of it. This is another thing. So today I had potentially my last consultation, post-operative consultation about this thing. And he's like, oh, you need to do some open chain exercises, maybe using a what do you call them? One of those resistant bands or a rubber band. I said, well, I don't have a rubber band. And then he gave me this at the hospital, and this thing is called a TheraBand. That's probably back to front for you, sorry. THERA band, TheraBand. And you tie a little knot in the end. Apparently you're supposed to do that. There's a lot of videos on YouTube with this thing, so you can look it up. And I've just been putting it on the bottom of my the couch leg today. The couch is quite heavy, so I can do some basic exercises, which are basically, say this is my leg. Simple things like this, that way, like 40 times for each way. If there's a pinching pain, stop, don't do it. That's not good. And I asked him today, because it's been a month now, so you don't want to be doing this kind of stuff earlier maybe. It's going to be different again for everyone. I asked him if there's a little bit of pain, can I still continue with the exercise? Because when I lift my leg, if I'm laying on my back and I lift it up straight, kind of like a leg raise, that's the most painful thing for me at the moment. And it's not painful that much, but I just feel like it's testing the joint a bit. And he said, yeah, you can continue with that at this stage. So I'm not pushing it too much, but yeah, doing a few of those things. I've got this thing. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I'll mention. It was after about 2 weeks, and I mentioned I wasn't doing any pain medication or anything. And then there was one day after about 2 weeks where I had something happened. It was either from walking a bit too far that day on my crutches, because I actually walked 900 meters that day to hospital and back on the crutches. But I don't think it was that, because I got home and I was fine. I think it was actually, I was in bed later that night, and it's like I twisted the wrong way or something, and I just twisted something, and man, that pain was so bad, and it scared the hell out of me. It was like, it felt like even if I'm laying down and I just the smallest little movements would cause extreme pain, and I thought, damn, what have I done? I've like ripped all the stuff that is just sewn up in my hip or something, so that scared me. And then I started taking some painkillers that night just so I could sleep and stuff, and then the next day it hurt a bit, but it was definitely improved, and then the next day it was kind of fine again, and I stopped taking the painkillers. So you do need to be careful. This kind of thing, it's let it heal and don't push anything. Hopefully that's informative for some people. If you have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments. And I'm a helpful guy. I will happily answer any questions that I can. If I can't answer it, then I won't. But I think that's about it. Done. I don't plan to do any more follow-up videos on this or the recovery or how it all went or anything. I don't really plan on doing it. Unless something significant happens, then I will. But actually, I'm going to be going back to work in my job. I stand up for 16 hours a day, and I'm going to be going back to work in 5 weeks after the surgery. So, yeah, I think it's going pretty well for me, and I hope it goes well for you guys as well. Maybe like the video, or maybe don't subscribe, because there's probably nothing else relevant to you on my channel, but you can if you want. Hopefully that was good. See you later.